Hey guys, this might come as a surprise to you, but about 40% of all products on Amazon FBA fail. In this video, I'm going to be detailing my products, kind of putting them into buckets, going through the success and fail rate for you, just giving you an inside look into my business so that you can better prepare your expectations for Amazon FBA and launching a product on the Amazon platform. If you guys don't know, my name's Lamar and I'm a 7-figure Amazon FBA seller. I did just over $1 million in my business last year. And in today's video, I'm gonna be going through my failure rate. Specifically, I'm gonna be talking about what that rate is and how many products are failing and basically what we're gonna do about it. But before we jump into today's video, I wanted to make sure that you guys have clicked that subscribe button, you're giving this video a thumbs up, and you're dropping a comment below, just talking to me about the experience that you've had on Amazon FBA. Do you agree, disagree with me? What is your product failure rate? Because quite frankly, there's not enough information out there online about people's failure rates. Everyone wants to talk about their successes. Not enough people out there are talking about their failures. So I hope that this video kind of bring some light into that kind of topic and we can learn something from it. So the first thing that I'm gonna do here is just go through my products. I'm gonna break down my products and I'm gonna put them into buckets. And I'm gonna be putting them into buckets based off of how much gross profit they generate for me on a monthly basis, okay? And I first just wanna define gross profit for you. Gross profit is essentially how I calculate it: landed cost of goods sold minus Amazon fees minus Amazon advertising cost. And the amount that's left over is my gross profit. Now you can calculate gross profit a number of different ways, but that's the way that I'm going to be calculating it in the kind of breakdown of tiers and buckets that I'm about to describe to you right now. And I'm also going to throw these numbers up on the screen here so that you can just kind of visually see them as well, and you can better understand just how my products are breaking down in a gross profit standpoint. So last year I had 21 parent products. So if you're familiar with Amazon FBA and selling on Amazon, you know that you can set up a parent listing and then you can have multiple children or variations that are all tied to that single parent. Well, the way that I'm going to be breaking down these products is by parent. So I have 21 parents that I sell on Amazon, and then within those parents, there are, variations. So like color, size variations. So I have many more SKUs, but I'm breaking these into parents. So the first thing to understand here is that I've got 21 parent products. 3 of them generate me $5,000 or more per month in gross profit. 5 of them generate me more than $1,000 per month in gross profit. 4 of them generate more than $500 in monthly gross profit. 5 products generate between $0 and $500 in monthly gross profit. And 4 products actually generate a negative $100 in gross profit, or they're losing me money on a monthly basis. So when you can kind of total all of that up, it basically comes out to $250,000 for the year off of about $1 million e-commerce business. So those figures there are pretty, accurate throughout most of the year. Obviously there's fluctuations like due to seasonality and whatnot, but that should give you a pretty good grasp and understanding just how my business breaks down from a per product gross profit standpoint. Now, one of the most frustrating things as an entrepreneur, and I'm sure that you've probably experienced this as well, is that most of the times we're not surrounding ourselves with other entrepreneurs or other e-commerce sellers. We just don't have access to many people that are doing quite exactly what we're doing. So then therefore, we don't really know how well we're doing versus other e-commerce sellers. So it's important not to compare yourself to other people, but you do want to just have like a general understanding if your business is like on the right track. Does it have similar characteristics? Are you doing a good job or bad job? And I think that that is pretty normal, especially during your most early years or early months of starting an Amazon FBA business or just becoming an entrepreneur in general. You want to know how you're doing and how you compare to other people. But let's say that you are one of the lucky people and you have been able to surround yourself with people. Maybe you have a friend that's also doing e-commerce, or maybe you've put yourself in a mastermind group, which I definitely would recommend. Even those people, great, well-minded people, they mean well, but even those people, like, how often is it that you actually get deep inside their business, that you really understand down to like a granular level just how quote unquote like successful some of their products are? Everybody out there, in a sense, is portraying an image or flexing a little bit to say, it's quite natural to even want to flex off to your friends or portray this kind of image that makes you seem more successful or be more successful. So you have to be a little bit even skeptical with your close friends or with people that you have surrounded or have been able to luckily surround yourself with similar businesses, because even these people, and like I said, they're probably good, well-minded people, but even them are going to portray a certain kind of image when they talk to you about their business. So my point here is that it's very challenging to actually know how you compare against other people in this landscape. That said, I do have access to a couple of other businesses, and I have friends, in the space, and I have compared my numbers with their numbers. And just to give you kind of a sense of how my results might compare to theirs. And I have to say that most e-commerce sellers out there have these three different buckets. You have your top level products, your middle level products, and your bottom level products. And they kind of break out like that. And it tends to skew towards this 40% rule, where 40% of the products might not necessarily be losing you money, but you're also not necessarily going to be reordering those products. You're going to be taking the money, pulling that money out of those kind of bottom tier products, those lower tier products, and reinvesting that money into other opportunities. Now, you might see those numbers and think to yourself, wow, that's a really high failure rate, or wow, I knew that all along, or wow, that's a lot of profit or gross profit, or wow, that's not a lot of gross profit. My point here is that you might be sitting at home wondering to yourself, is this a successful result? Is what I'm experiencing on Amazon FBA a normal result? And that's what I'm trying to detail to you here. Because like myself, when I started my business 4 years ago, I was like bottled up in my room, and I was just like seeking for validation, seeking for a sense to know that I was on the right track. And, you only know so much. You can ask other people, you can hear different things out there in the space and try to compare yourself to other people. But my point here is that you just don't know if this is a good or bad result. And that's what I'm going to be talking through this point now. So just for a moment now, let's talk about an average result. Let's say that you were to work really hard at Amazon FBA for the next 2 years. What would that result might look like? Now, I just did a video on Amazon FBA and how you can go about making $1,000 in gross profit, and that would be a average or expected result if you were to, really work hard at this opportunity. And that would be kind of a goal that you could set, a reasonable, achievable goal that you could set for maybe your first or second product. Now, let's say that you were going to work really hard at Amazon FBA for the next 2 years, like I said. What would your portfolio of products look like? Would they look like mine? Would it be worse? Would it be better? I don't know exactly, right? Every business is different. But I can probably say that if you were to work really hard at this opportunity, you could probably produce results that looked similar to mine. I think that my results are probably average, okay? And I think that that's a reasonable expectation to kind of set for yourself. Now, there's an interesting kind of concept or theory out there about having an entrepreneurial product market fit. And I think that when those three things click, that's when an entrepreneur starts to experience above average results. However, you need to continue along this entrepreneurial journey. And quite frankly, I'm still early in it. And if you've just started your Amazon FBA business or you just started this opportunity, you're still early in it. And you need to continue along this. It takes years and years and years of developing this entrepreneurial product market fit until you can refine each of those aspects. And that's when things are going to click for you. That's when things are going to exceed expectations. So while right now I might be experiencing average results for a 4-year-old e-commerce business, my time hasn't come yet. And I'm just chugging along, continuing to push, and things will start to click. And that's where I think you start to see the hyper growth or the more successful, or where people start to say eventually they got lucky, or these things just start to come into place more easily. It's because we find the entrepreneurial, the market, and the product fit. Now, I want you to continue to think about that 40% failure rate, but we're gonna zoom out a little bit and just talk about entrepreneurship in general right now, and not necessarily Amazon FBA. And I want you to think about all the other, successful entrepreneurs that or that you see on TV or you've read books about, basically the people that you kind of admire, you might look up to. And I want you to think about how many times they talk about failure. And my reason for that is failure is just a part of the entrepreneurial process. And I'm going to read a couple quotes here from some well-known people that I'm sure you know. And the first one is Mark Cuban. And I quote Mark Cuban here, and he says, "It doesn't matter how many times you've failed, you only have to be right once." Or Elon Musk, "Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you're not innovating enough." Or Jeff Bezos, "Failure and invention are inseparable twins." All right, well, thanks, Amazon. Paul Allen, "Each failure contains a seed of your next success, if you're willing to learn from it." Now, of course, the challenging aspect with this, or just hearing about, entrepreneurial stories, learning about entrepreneurs in general, is they mainly don't talk about their failures. We only hear about their successes. So we don't actually know just how many times that they failed. However, they all talk about failure as being the foundation or the learning process that takes them to that, actual success, which is actually kind of unfortunate, because if we were able to get a little bit more insight into their failures or how many times they failed, it would probably give us light into just how common failing is for an entrepreneur. How many times do you have a failed product idea that then goes on and inspires some new idea that then leads to a success? Now, this might come as a surprise to you, but I think you see where I'm headed here, is that if you want to be successful, if you want to make entrepreneurship, part of your life, it's who you are, it is your career, you have to be willing to push through those failures. I believe that 40% failure rate is pretty common, is pretty average for Amazon FBA or any business opportunity. And the reality is that if you want to make entrepreneurship part of your life, if you want that to be your career, your job, it is who you are, what you do, you need to be able to push through that. That is the process of becoming an entrepreneur. And you need to continue to push through those failures that eventually lead to your successes. So with this as the reality of the Amazon FBA landscape, and not just the Amazon FBA landscape, but of the entrepreneurial landscape, I ask you, what are you going to do when you have your first product failure? Are you going to throw in the towel or are you going to get back up? The scariest thing for me is I'm terrified of giving up. I have this internal drive that just forces me to not let that be an option. And I'd encourage you that if you're following along on this path here, if you're looking to become a successful entrepreneur, I believe that's what's going to take it. That's what's going to take you to the next level. That's what's going to allow you to push by everybody else and really see that wildly successful, career or entrepreneurial journey that you might be searching for. So lastly, let me know in the comment section below if you think that 40% failure rate is normal. Is it too much? Is it too little? What do you think about Amazon FBA and other opportunities out there? Are people just touting their successes and not talking enough about their failures? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'd love to know. Love to get your comments in the comment section below. And last but not least, if you guys are looking for a complete step-by-step process to achieving success, sustainable success on Amazon FBA, don't forget to check out my course in the link below. And until next time, guys, have a great weekend and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, crush it on Amazon. Peace.